work session previously. The next item on our agenda is, well, we've actually appointed, we had our appointment of President Pro Tem in our work session, and now
Pledge
Yeah.
of allegiance.
we've had our tax budget hearing. Now we are ready to open our regular session. So if you'd please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Next item on our agenda is the installation of new and re-elected Board of Education members. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Yeah.
We don't move for that one?
We just need some swearing.
Fair enough. All right. You're going to tell me what to say, right? Good. I, Charles Galvin,
Do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
and impartially
and impartially
discharge my duties as board member
discharge my duties as a board member
in and for the Mason City School District,
in and for the Mason City School District,
Warren County, Ohio,
Warren County, Ohio,
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
during my term of office.
during my term of office. Good luck.
I, Connie England,
I, Connie Ewing,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully
and I will faithfully
and impartially
impartially
discharge my duties as board member
discharge my duties as board member
in and for the Mason City School District,
in and for the Mason City School District,
Warren County, Ohio,
Warren County, Ohio,
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
during my term of office.
during my term of office.
Congratulations.
No.
I, Ian Orr,
I, Ian Orr,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully
and I will faithfully
and impartially
and impartially
discharge my duties as board member
discharge my duties as board member
in and for the Mason City School District,
in and for the Mason City School District,
Warren County, Ohio,
Warren County, Ohio,
to the best of my
to
ability
the best of my ability
during my term of office.
during my term of office.
Congratulations.
All right, thank you, Sean. Connie and Ian, congratulations.
You too.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the election of officers. First office that we are electing is president. Do I have a motion or any nominations from the board?
I nominate Connie Yingling for president.
All right. Any other nominations? All right, hearing none. Sean? Do I have a motion, I guess, that Ms. Yingling will fill the role of president? Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
All right. Any discussion? Sean?
Mr. Galvin,
Yes.
Mrs. Yingling,
Yes.
Mr. Wise,
Yes.
Mrs. Batchy,
Yes.
Mr. Orr,
Yes.
5-0.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you.
solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully
impartially
and impartially
discharge my duties as president
discharge my duties as president
in and for the Mason City School District,
in and for the Mason City School District,
Warren County, Ohio,
Warren County, Ohio,
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
during my term of office.
during my term of office.
Congratulations.
Thank you to the board for putting your trust in me to sit in the middle seat, and I'm looking forward to another productive year with this wonderful school district that we are all so privileged to serve. With that, we will move on to the next item, which is to,
One more officer to nominate. One more officer to nominate.
yes, I was going to do
Oh,
it with Vice
gotcha. All right.
President.
I thought you were doing
We will take nominations for the role of Vice President for the coming year. Do I have any nominations?
I'd like to nominate Desiree Batchy.
I will second that nomination. Any discussion? Seeing
Do we
none?
go, hold on, do we go motion and then
If there's no other
nomination?
if there's no other nominations, yeah, we can go ahead and vote.
No?
If there's no other nominations on the floor.
Okay.
Yep.
Are there any discussion or, no? Okay, seeing none, Sean, call the roll, please.
Mrs. Yingling?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Mrs. Batchy?
Yes.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
5-0. I, Desiree Batchy,
I, Desiree Batson,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and I will faithfully
and I will faithfully
and impartially
discharge my duties as Vice President
in and for the Mason City School District,
in and for the Mason City School District,
Warren County, Ohio,
Warren County, Ohio,
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
during my term of office.
for my term of office.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Desiree, for being willing to serve in that capacity.
Well, thank you for your trust in me, and I look forward to serving another year on the school board. It's been an honor and a privilege and a great district to serve. Thank you.
And I'll just go ahead and elaborate on our organizational activities here and welcome a brand-new board member officially to the board. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And whatever this board can do to support you in your role, to help you serve the community, we're able to do that.
Thank you so much.
Welcome you. Okay, let's go on to item 8. We have some board appointments. The first one will be for the Ohio School Board Association Legislative Liaison. And the second one will be the Ohio School Board Association Student Achievement Liaison. Typically, we appoint separate individuals for this. It could be the same person, but do we have any nominations for the Legislative Liaison?
I nominate Charles Galvin.
You beat me to it. All
I'm
right.
sorry.
Right up your alley. We have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, I believe this is an appointment, Sean. We don't have to vote on that, is that correct?
Correct.
Board appointment? Okay, thank you. With that, we'll move on to the Student Achievement Liaison. Do we have any nominations for that? And you may nominate yourself. Kevin, would you like to have an
No,
interest?
I won't take that nomination.
You won't take that? Okay.
I'll do it.
You'll do it?
Do it.
I think that's great, and I think it'll be a real opportunity for your first year. I will second Ian's nomination of his role, and Any discussion?
Well, I only feel good that you jumped in ahead of me being able to nominate you. That you're eager to do that, so excited to support you in that role as well.
Thanks.
Wonderful. Okay, we'll have Ian performing that role for us. Okay, moving on. Item 9, our Board of Education 2022 board meeting schedule. We have the list of dates and work sessions for, and our business meeting, work sessions and business meetings for the coming year. Is anyone, we need a motion to approve this list.
So moved?
Second.
Any discussion, knowing that occasionally something will come up with the business needs, we may have to add a meeting or shuffle a meeting, but we do try to stick to the list that we put out as a consideration for our public. Any discussion? Seeing none. Sean, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Mrs. Batchy?
Yes.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
Mr. Gavin?
Yes.
Mrs. Yingling?
Yes.
5-0.
Thank you. Item 10 is school tax advances. And Sean, being the treasurer, no one can do this justice better than you, so I will turn that over to you.
Sure. So we receive our tax revenues twice a year. The final settlement from the county is usually in April and October-ish. But what this allows us to do is receive those funds as they're collecting them. So we don't have to wait until the end of the process. We get to receive them weekly as they're collecting them. So that's what this allows us to do.
Thank you. Anyone have any discussion or questions? Seeing none. Sean?
You
call the
need
roll.
a
I need a motion.
motion and
I'll make
yeah.
a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Nope, you're good.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion now? Seeing none. Sean?
Mrs. Batchy?
Yes.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
Mr. Gavin?
Yes.
Mrs. Yingling?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
5-0.
Next item, 11, is the service fund. The board establishes a service fund every year to support the needs that the board may have in performing its role. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none. Sean, call the roll.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
Mr. Gavin?
Yes.
Mrs. Yingling?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Mrs. Batchy?
Yes.
5-0.
Next item is the Records Commission. We will appoint a Records Commission. It's typically the president of the board, the treasurer, and the superintendent. The commission meets as needed, but it is required to meet at least once a year and establish the rules for retention and disposal of records and to review and approve requests to dispose of the district's records. Anyone have a motion?
So moved?
Second? Discussion? No second? I'll second.
Oh, I thought,
I thought that.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
I thought you did second. I'll
Oh.
second.
That's fine. In discussion? Seeing none? Sean?
Mr. Gavin?
Yes.
Mrs. Yingling?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Mrs. Batchy?
Yes.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
5-0.
13, Tax Incentive Review Council, representative appointment. Warren County has several tax incentives, and this is one of them. And Sean, I'm going to look at you to give the best explanation for this.
Sure. The Tax Incentive Review Council it's actually commissioned by the county. It's actually a good setup because there are economic development incentives in place all around the county, whether it's with the county itself or in particular school districts. This is an annual opportunity for that council to review each of those incentives and make sure that all companies are in compliance with their side of the bargain and what their commitment has been. So this just appoints the treasurer and allows me to go and represent the district and get any updates that we might be available to us at that meeting.
Okay, thank you. Typically, the treasurer performs this role. I would ask for a motion for either the
So moved.
treasurer or someone else.
Second.
And discussion? Seeing none. Sean?
Mrs. Yingling?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Mrs. Batchy?
Yes.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
Mr. Gavin?
Yes.
5-0.
It's like you're the man, Sean. Thank you. Item 14, payment of bills, investment of funds, and accounting transactions. This is for the actions of the treasurer. Motion to appoint the treasurer to pay bills, invest funds, make inter-fund transfers, and advances and appropriation modifications. This simply allows the treasurer to have the authorization to perform his role for the school district. So I'll ask for a motion.
So moved.
Second? Any discussion or questions? Seeing none?
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Mrs. Batchy?
Yes.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
Mr. Gavin?
Yes.
Mrs. Yingling?
Yes.
5-0.
15 is a public records representative. Motion for the board to approve the treasurer to serve as the public records representative. I need a motion
So moved.
Second.
and discussion. Seeing none, Sean?
Mrs. Batchy?
Yes.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
Mr. Gavin?
Yes.
Mrs. Yingling?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
5-0.
Okay. And number 16, personnel employment between board meetings. This permits the superintendent again to hire and serve the needs of the district between board meetings. Those hires would still need to be approved by the board, so I will need a motion
So moved.
Second.
and discussion. Seeing none, John, call the roll, please.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
Mr. Gavin?
Yes.
Mrs. Yingling?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Mrs. Batchy?
Yes.
5-0.
Number 17, disposal of property. Again, in the normal course of action, at times there is the need to dispose of property under a depreciated value of $5,000 or less. And this authorizes the chief operations officer to perform that role. And in this case, it would be Mr. Petrie. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Sean, call the roll, please.
Mr. Gavin?
Yes.
Mrs. Yingling?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Mrs. Batchy?
Yes.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
5-0.
Okay, we're to the point in our meeting where we have a hearing of the public. We invite the public to come and be heard at our board meetings. We do have some rules for hearing of the public. I'll read part of the rules. The board encourages community input. At all regular meetings, in order for the board to fulfill its obligation, we have a maximum of 30 minutes of public participation may be permitted per each meeting. Community participation at a board meeting is limited to hearing of the public portion of the meeting, and it is not considered a back and forth discussion, although it is reasonable that someone might have a response after the meeting from the superintendent or the board, depending on what the subject matter is. And tonight, I have a stack, so Sean, I'll leave you to the timer. And first up, we'll have Owen Smith. If you please step to the podium and state your name and address, and then you may address the board.
Owen Smith, 5535 Wheatmore Court, Mason, Ohio. Thank you for allowing me to speak. The last time I had the opportunity to speak in front of you, things were much different, as it was 2019, opening day, and before the pandemic. I used to be really engaged, love coming to school, and not question the decisions made by Mason's leaders. I worked hard to help pass the last levy and make sure Mason quality was protected. Now I've seen some things during the pandemic that have me rethinking Mason quality, and it makes me worry if Mason is losing its shine. Last year, I online learned to keep my community, older family members, and myself safe and healthy. This year, I came back thinking you would continue the mask mandate, and you have not. In the last week alone, since we came back from winter break, Mason has had 383 and counting new cases according to the dashboard. What are you doing to stop the spread and keep us in school? Yesterday, MMS leaders asking students to wear masks during the morning announcements didn't work. Teachers offering masks at the beginning of the school day didn't help either because no one in my crew class got up to get a new one. Kids that were out sick, presumably with COVID, and are now back are either not wearing a mask or aren't wearing it correctly. My family has done our part and worked hard to make sure no one in our immediate family has gotten COVID. It's your responsibility to keep me safe at school. Why not mandate masks until the increased cases go down? One of my teachers said it was because administrators said it would be too much paperwork. What's the extra paperwork? I'm sure there are a group of concerned parents and students willing to help you fill it out. It must not be too much paperwork if carrying districts like Indian Hill, Sycamore, Loveland, Kings, Princeton, Middletown, Marymount, and CPS have some form of mask mandate in place. School districts are even having to go remote. This morning on the morning announcements, our superintendent made a video saying that he was disappointed that only 30% of 7th through 12th graders were wearing a mask. I'm disappointed in the administrators for not being the bigger leaders in mandating masks. It shouldn't be on the students. It should be on you. I've done my part all along, and now it's time for you to step up and do yours.
Thank you, Owen. The next person we have speaking is Kaya. Is it Rossi?
Hi, my name's Kaya Rossi. My address is 3264 Palomino Trail, Mason, Ohio. I am a senior at Mason. All right, so thank you for letting me speak, by the way. But as of today, almost 840,000 people in this country alone have died from coronavirus. 465 of these deaths have been from Warren County. Last school year, we had a mask mandate all year. That year, we peaked at 532 cases in one day, which was December 8th, for the county. We never did away with the mask mandate for the whole year, even when it hit a low of 8 cases in one day, which was May 18th. And we were hovering around an average of less than 15 cases in the county. On January 2nd of 2022, there were 596 cases reported in Warren County. This is not only higher than the peak number of cases last year, but it is also over 74 times more cases than the low of last year, when we still had the mandate. Please implement a mask mandate, or at least explain to the students and parents of Mason why it makes sense that we had a mask mandate with an average of less than 15 cases a day, but no mask mandate for an average of 413 cases a day. As a student at the high school, I don't feel safe. I wear my mask, but no safety measures are implemented. The halls and cafeteria are ridiculously crowded, and most teachers aren't even wearing masks. Many students are scared to come to school. Please do better. Our health and safety depends on you doing better. Thank you.
Next up, we have Ava Walter.
Okay, so my name's Ava Walter, and my address is 4590 Winterberry Court. So I'm a junior at MHS, and I have a couple of concerns about the new variant and spread of COVID that I wanted to share with all of you. So as you all know, the spread of COVID is at an all-time high. As of today, there have been 20,000 new cases in Ohio, let alone. So if you know it's this much and the CDC keeps on recommending masks, why are the administrators not listening? It's beyond exhausting to know that you care more about angry citizens and backlash from parents than just keeping everyone safe. There are usually pros and cons to every side, which I understand, but the pros greatly outweigh the cons here. Keeping kids and faculty safe versus a couple of hundred citizens going to be mad that you are keeping their kids safe. The first thing I saw when I walked in here, the front doors, was a big banner saying, "You are safe here." I don't feel like that. Every day I'm surrounded by thousands of kids, and in each class I say I'm about 1 or 2 of 30 kids that wear masks. Now imagine how many are unvaccinated, how much it exposes, and how easily it spreads. Every day I walk into school double masked with an N95 and surgical mask because I can't risk getting sick with all my immunocompromised family. Well, there are kids who couldn't care less and come in here with even testing positive, unmasked, unvaccinated, and feeling sick. It is such a bare minimum effort, and to know that you guys are doing everything you can to get out of it without recommending it is beyond disappointing. Never in my life did I think I'd be saying I felt unsafe at Mason, but here I am. It's understandable to be wary of something that didn't exist before, but I believe that if we're afraid of the past, we won't be able to make progress. We need to be more positive and recommend the masks in order to create a better future and get rid of this as soon as possible. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. Next up, we have Edward Perdue. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Edward Perdue. I live at 301 East Circle Drive. I have spoke and written to the board on critical race theory many times. I expressed my views as a citizen to the board on critical race theory, and with the new year, I will continue to do so. According to the Heritage Group, critical race theory taught in schools demoralizes K-12 students, polarizes higher education, condones cancel culture. According to StopCriticalRaceTheory.com, part of their pledges is to prohibit teaching CRT in Ohio schools, universities, and governments. Prohibit the concepts that present any race as inherently deserving of preference. And that CRT is supported by Marxist theory. They also claim that America is systematically racist due to widespread white supremacy. They are also reporting that Mason City School District is teaching CRT with their district elementary diversity, elementary equity team. There are a few groups in Ohio and Warren County that also support StopCriticalRaceTheory.com, including the Warren County Tea Party, Warren County Conservatives. So as we start this new year, critical race theory, in my opinion, is racist Marxist propaganda, and it won't be tolerated in any school in Ohio, in the country, or around the world. We're very blessed to be alive and in our country right now. Considering the history, everyone that's fought and sacrificed in order that I can have the freedom to get up and speak here right now, it should be something that we all should be on board with. But from my personal experience, I know what it's like to have family members completely disregard their family and their family values in order to fit into the system here in Mason. So we won't stop until critical race theory is eliminated from every school district. So I want to thank you for your time and reiterate the fact that critical race theory is being reported as being taught in the district, and it will not be tolerated. Thank you for your time.
Okay, next up, we have Carl Riddle.
Thank you. I wasn't planning to talk about critical race theory, but I think anyone who is against it probably doesn't really understand what it is, and is probably a racist. What I was planning to say is, first and foremost, I want to congratulate the newest member of the board. I voted for him because he has a voice of reason, and I'm glad that he received so many votes. It shows that Mason is moving in the right direction, and as the applause shows, we're moving in the right direction. Only a couple people voted or applauded for the previous person there. And It's still disturbing to me that the board is not more diverse, given the diversity in this community. I sincerely hope that changes in the near future. About a third of the student population here is Asian, and the board ought to reflect that. In regards to COVID, I will keep it short and to the point. We need a mask mandate, and it seems as though we may need remote learning for some period of time, since there are many reports of classes that have been left with no teacher due to the shortage of substitute teachers. The superintendent says they are following the data, but that is clearly not true. Most employers in this region that are able to are working remotely. Many districts have moved to remote learning or a mask mandate. It is common sense. Anyone who says, masks work to stop the spread. Anyone who says otherwise is ignorant. We need a superintendent who acts to keep students safe and who ensures they receive a quality education. When teachers are missing, no learning is happening. Self-congratulatory videos and emails are not helpful. Pictures of a maskless superintendent posing with students are absolutely foolish. You're not doing your job. Lead by example, and please act now before you cause more sickness.
Okay, next up, we have Amy Mercer.
Good evening. My name is Amy Mercer. I live at 5689 Crestwood Drive. First of all, I would like to say congratulations to all who were recently elected to your positions, and I would also like to say thank you for raising your hand to perform this important public service for our community. It is a personal sacrifice to do so, and I'm sure especially in these trying past couple of years, so thank you very much. I'm here tonight to ask that the school board recommend to Mason Schools Administration a mask mandate in light of the recent breaking surge of COVID-19. On December 28th, Governor Mike DeWine's office escalated a letter to school superintendents and school boards by the Ohio Hospital Association asking to institute a mask mandate, saying this simple step is one of the best ways to slow the spread. The letter went on to say that aside from being vaccinated, the next best thing to do to protect vulnerable Ohioans is universal masking. We know this to be true at Mason because we're part of the reason we know masks work. We implemented a mask mandate in the fall of 2020 that helped the largest high school in Ohio learn safely in person. I have two teenagers at the high school who I remind weekly to wear their masks at school unless they are eating or are outside. I honestly don't know if they do it, but I would be surprised if many kids did. How can we expect them to do the right thing and mask up when our administration has been asked to do that very thing by the governor and Ohio's health experts, and it's been largely ignored? If we want our kids to do the right thing for our community, we need to lead by example. I work for a company that requires a COVID vaccination to be employed, requires masks in the office when greater than 15 people are assembled, and is enforcing a remote work model right now in these current conditions. My daughter goes to a university that requires COVID vaccines, masking in the classroom, and is also remote at this time. These are institutions that also look closely at the data from experts and follow the science from health experts, and they are doing vastly more to protect the community than we are at Mason City Schools. I am asking the school board to take the minimal step of a temporary mask mandate for our kids, teachers, and community. Thank you.
Next up is Joy Bennett.
Hi, I want to thank you as well for serving. I know how much time and pressure you're under, so thank you very much for raising your hand to run. And congratulations to those of you who got reelected. This weekend, I met a young woman at a workshop for leaders in Ohio, and something she shared really struck me. And it echoed what I'm hearing from families and people across our school district and actually around our country. I know that you are compassionate human beings who care about other human beings genuinely, and so I think that you will be concerned to hear this. Ultimately, what we say is important, but what others hear is the most important. This young woman has a blood disorder and had to have a bone marrow transplant a few years ago. She said that she and the people that she knows, the friends that she's made from her many, many weeks in the hospital, hear in our refusal to take precautions, they're hearing that they are expendable. I know that you don't believe that, but that's what we're hearing. My mother has metastatic breast cancer. I have a child with congenital heart conditions. I have friends whose children have asthma. When you refuse to take action, simple steps like you had in place last year that allowed the school to stay open, you're telling us that those individuals are worth the risk to you. You need to change the message. I know this is not what you mean, but that's what is being conveyed right now. If you could start with the basic precautions that we had in place with dividers during mealtime, masks for everyone, distancing where possible, hand washing and sanitizing, that would be a huge step, and it would show that you care about every student, every teacher, and every staff member in our buildings. Right now, you are not conveying that you are concerned about them. It appears that the reputation of Mason City Schools is more important than the safety of the individuals who make it up. I'm expecting you to take action now. To do otherwise is negligent. Thank you.
Last speaker of the evening is Julie Womack.
Okay, I'm going to start repeating a lot with what's been said, but starting off, congratulations to the new board members who were just elected. Special shout out to Mr. Orr for new election, new board member. Thank you all for serving. I appreciate that. I also want to shout out to the students who have stood up here tonight because it takes a lot of courage. Some of us are kind of well-versed in doing this now, but they're probably new to it, so I appreciate them being active and speaking up in their community on things that matter to them. I want to say I was very disappointed when school started and there was no mask mandate. You know, I heard Governor DeWine call for it. I saw the letter from the Ohio Hospital Association, and I really couldn't believe that Mason wasn't following the science. We celebrate science in the school. We teach our children about how wonderful it is. We push STEM programs, but we completely disregard it when it comes to this situation. I spent the whole week basically getting text message after text message from my friends. I got to find a COVID test. My kid is sick. They're having symptoms. I can't even tell you, I've lost count of how many kids are now home with COVID. I don't understand why we are failing to take the basic steps of just a mask. We're not asking people to have a vaccine mandate. It's a basic health measure just to protect the kids, to protect the families. I read today in the paper, that Children's Hospital has said they're seeing 5 times as many patients positive with COVID than in the previous week. It's the highest hospitalization rate they've had this entire pandemic. But Mason schools are hosting a super spreader every day of the week when we have school. I don't understand why we're not looking out for the bigger community at large. Why are we not trying to stop the spread within our community, not just within our schools? I also will say the one thing I was very disappointed in is I did send an email to the board and the superintendent about this. I thank you for the response from Mr. Galvin and from Superintendent Cooper. But one of the things that was in the letter from Mr. Cooper was how the governor and the Ohio Health Department have not issued mask mandates. And that, of course, was a justification or a reason to the parents about why we are not doing that. I mean, I at least expect the school to give fair and honest information. And come on, anybody who follows politics in Ohio knows HB 22 completely tied the governor's hands. There was never going to be a mask mandate from the governor. He has flat out said that in the paper before, that there are times he wanted to issue a mask mandate and he can't. The health department, their hands are tied. So please don't mislead the parents into thinking that somehow this is magically going to happen. They're never going to issue that. It's up to the school district to make these decisions. And I really hope you guys lead on that and look out for the health of our students.
all our speakers tonight for taking time to come out and address the board. Our next item on our agenda is the superintendent's recommendations and action items. And we have an asphalt project at the high school and early childhood center. I'll ask for a motion first.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
And I'll let
Yes.
Jonathan or Todd?
Yeah, thank you, President Yingling. This basically is making sure that we are ready to go out to bid for an asphalt project, and these are multiple projects around the district. We have a long-term plan that Mr. Petrie and his team work with the consultants that we work with to look at what asphalt needs to be replaced. So this allows us to go out to bid for that. So we make sure that we know exactly kind of the number that we're looking for there, and as soon as you approve that, we'll go out to bid. We'll hopefully secure the pricing that is best for our district, and then we'll get the work done this summer. So you can click into these links and see where some of that is proposed. Some of it's at the high school, and then you'll see there's some at MECC as well.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Is there any discussion with the board on this item?
I wanted to thank Todd for making sure that I was up to speed on what was being proposed in the bid, so thank you for getting that information over to me.
Good point. Todd, you do a good job of keeping our buildings in shape, well-maintained, and looking good and fully functioning for our families. Appreciate that very much. So, seeing no other discussion, John, call the roll.
Mrs. Yingling?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Mrs. Batchy?
Yes.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
5-0.
Next item is the Treasury Report. Several items on here, the tax budget. We have a new fund. Sean, I'd like to hear a little bit more about the
Yeah, sure.
CNO fund. And then we have some donations, and I'll ask for a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Thank you. Sean, do you have some?
Yeah, sure. The quick one, the new fund for the CNO COVID, that's child nutrition. So Child Nutrition Office is receiving some funding, a small amount of funding for COVID-related items. And so this is to create a separate cost center within their department to track those dollars. And of course, we have our donations. Item C, we have several of those, which we typically have each month, several on here for the comment cupboard. Again, I always appreciate our partners and community members who step up to support students and programs within our district. The biggest item we probably have on the agenda tonight would be this item A, the tax budget. So a couple things on that. The tax budget really serves a few purposes. One, the most basic purpose for approving a tax budget is it's part of our compliance with Ohio budgetary laws. So this starts the process for the district to be able to receive property tax revenues next fiscal year, so starting July 1, 22, going through June 30 of 23. The way the process works is that we approve this tax budget here tonight. It gets submitted to the county budget commission, which is the county auditor, treasurer, and prosecutor. They will have a meeting next month where they will review and approve and potentially ask questions about what's in our tax budget. And approve that, and then it kind of starts the process before we will start collecting taxes in the fall. The main, and there's a lot of data in there, but really the main purpose that the county auditor has for the tax budget, the main use of it, is to look at the amount of millage required to cover the bond or debt payments of the district for the year. So if you look at Exhibit 2 and Exhibit 6 in that tax budget, those really are the two primary, most important pages on that. Because every year the county auditor sets that millage rate to make sure that we have enough money to pay the debt payments of the district. And so that's really what the primary information they use to make sure that that millage rate is set. I'll back up for a minute and also just say that as we look at the big picture of the district and our debt and our financial structure and systems we have in place, basically about 10 years ago, because everybody knows all the growth we had in the district, new buildings needed, new space needed, we had about $130 million in debt 10 years ago. As we sit here today, we have about $19 million in debt, and we are within 10 years of being completely debt-free. So, a great success story there, a lot of wise planning from this board and previous boards over the years, and so certainly a shout out and appreciation for that. The other thing I wanted to mention was that, people will probably remember 2 years ago, we passed the operating levy, the phase-in levy in the spring of 2020. As part of that, there was really two phases to that. First phase was in collection year, tax payment year 2021, was the first phase of 4.71 mils. The second phase of that was an additional 5.25 mils, which started in this calendar year as we sit here today. Part of the beauty of that was that the first 4.71 mils were an increase in payments for our community. And at the time, one of the things we talked about was that the second phase of that, taxpayers would not see an increase because we had some debt rolling off and we had some bond millage rolling off. And so this process is really, a year ago, was kind of what affirmed that, and what was the process the county auditor went through to lower that bond millage rate so that taxpayers would not see an increase in the amount they're paying here in 2022. So just as a reminder, that was kind of the process and the way that the plan for things to work here in 2022. That started back in 2020 and even before that time, but that is actually the case where as property tax bills and things went out this year, that second part of that phase-in levy was more than offset by the reduction from the debt millage we had going down this year. So again, all these things come into play on the tax budget, and that's what we have on the agenda tonight for approval.
Thank you, Sean. Appreciate you mentioning the fact that past boards and past district employees have really strived to be good stewards of the Mason community's tax dollars, and creative ideas like the one you mentioned in a graduated millage is something that really I know our community is grateful for. And I personally want to extend my thanks to people prior that have put, as you mentioned, years of planning into this. Anyone from the board want to comment or questions?
No, I'll just say thank you, Sean, for keeping us, constantly informed, and for your memos to us regarding these Treasury reports, and appreciate the thorough explanations whenever we have questions.
Same for me. I appreciate it, Sean, and you telling it to me on my level. I appreciate that. So it's clear and concise, and you're very knowledgeable. So I'm very appreciative of the work you do.
Thank you.
And I'd also like to thank the donors on tonight's Treasury Report. We always have a community that is willing to step up and support some additional things within our district, support our kids, and so we're really grateful for that, the generosity. With that, there's no other discussion. Sean, please call the roll.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Ms. Abachi?
Yes.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
Mr. Gavin?
Yes.
Ms. Yingling?
Yes.
5-0.
Thank you. Gets us to item 21, our committee reports. And Jonathan, as these are superintendent committees, I will let you take the lead on directing our information.
Sure. A couple things that you'll notice in the superintendent committees is, one, there's assignments for our new kind of update. Every January, we update who's going to serve on what committee, and so you'll see where board members have been assigned there, or worked with you to make sure you found the right committee that's best for what the work you're going to be doing. And each committee meets in a kind of a different rhythm. It's either every other month or quarterly, depending on the committee. The board brings that information back. We usually have 2 board members on a committee, sometimes just 1. And they'll bring that back to the board to report back, and I'll support that update as well. So there are 10 total committees, and you can see those listed there in our agenda, I believe. The only one that we had since our last meeting was the Mason Schools Foundation, I think is the last one we had. And Mason Schools Foundation, I know Tracy, I think, was probably there giving district updates. I believe I swung in just for a little bit of time. So if you want to give any further update on that, feel free to.
Just continuing to be grateful for the grants that they
they're working on, and we are getting ready to enter into what is the second largest fundraising opportunity for the foundation, which is our reading challenge for our elementary students. It's such a good opportunity to highlight literacy and reading, but also it is an important fundraiser for the foundation. And so looking forward, appreciate so much our elementary staffs, our elementary principals who work really hard to partner with the foundation to make that a fun event for families, so that we can continue to do all the great work that the foundation is doing. That'll come up this month. In fact, begins next week.
Thanks.
And we did just do a Fine Arts and Activities Council, is that right, Tracy? We approved a trip?
We did. There was a trip. I think we ended up meeting virtually, or just actually, but we ended up the trip from our Model UN. I was going to say mock trial. I knew that was wrong. Model UN, Michigan got canceled, and so for those of us who are like me, IU person, instead they're going to Indiana where they can compete. And still have that opportunity. So they're going to go to an Indiana meet instead, which will be great for the students.
Great recovery, finding a fill for that void.
Yes.
No other committees met recently? I know we're not that far off a break, winter break, so. Okay. The next item is legislative update.
Yeah, the major one, I just want to make sure, last time we talked about House Bill 169 and how we were working with the state, with the governor's office and with ODE on proposing a $1,000 floor for all districts across the state for COVID relief funds with the ESSER 1, 2, and 3 funds that are being allocated. That took us a few months of back and forth and proposals. Sean did a great job putting a spreadsheet basically showing what schools would be impacted by that. We put together a collaboration with those schools. There are about 102 schools out of 610 that were impacted by this proposal. And through lots of great connections with our local legislative partners as well as some at the State House, we were able to get that to move forward. So they approved that allocation of funds to bring every district across the state to a $1,000 floor. Essentially, if you had not been given $1,000 per pupil, we were at $225, I think, per pupil, and so they brought us up to $1,000 per pupil, which backfills a lot of the investment and money that we've put into all the mitigation strategies that you even heard mentioned tonight over the last 2 years to keep our schools open. And so what that does for us in the state of Ohio puts us at an additional $7.8 million, I believe, to help us to fund some of the different things that we've done throughout the district over the last 2 years. So,
Excellent.
Sean, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big win, and certainly kudos to Jonathan for his relentless pursuit of that, going back several months. And there were different times where it seemed like we got a no answer from the state from different levels, and Jonathan kept hitting that rock and finally was able to make it gush water. So appreciate that. And there are different, some of those funds will have to be spent by the fall of 23, some will have to be spent by the fall of 24, but certainly a boost to help us cover some of those costs we incurred from COVID.
Can we retro use those funds for items we've already used for COVID relief?
Yeah, we can. There's actually, all of these COVID funds have a date where you can go back to basically the beginning of the pandemic. So back of March of 2020 is the date we can go back to. And that is different than most federal funds. Most of the time, once you get it, you have to start from there going forward. We do have the chance to go back on this one, so this is a nice opportunity for us.
Yeah.
And to put it in perspective, we had $225 per student. There are some schools getting around $16,000 or more per student. And so when we started to dig into the formula, there was definitely some problems with the formula. And so we felt like it was the right thing to do for our community to advocate, because this takes burden off of the local taxpayer. So that's why we pursued it. We're very fortunate to get that as a big win for us.
Yeah, as if the COVID situation in our daily lives, getting kids to school, getting them home, getting folks to work and taking care of themselves. There's all of this jockeying for position and lobbying for monies and things that the government and other agencies, federal, state, may make available, but we really have to stay on top of that and have our voice heard, and we appreciate both of you doing that on behalf of our district.
Pleasure.
Any other comments tonight or on that issue? Questions?
Happy to see that followed through and appreciate all of your diligence on that, Jonathan. That's really going to be a great thing for our district.
Okay, next up is administrative commentary. Tracy, we can start with you.
Sure. Just want to congratulate Mr. Orr and how wonderful that all of us in this room get to be here on a night where, as a district, we are getting, there is some history being made with our very first person of color elected to the Board of Education. And while I know he's humble and there are many facets to Mr. Orr, it is a moment to mark and to be excited about as a district, and to know that our community is welcoming and accepting and has elected Mr. Orr. So we're thrilled about that. Also, congratulations to Connie being board president, and to Charles for your reelection, and also a new dad. That is real for the third time. So
Same dad, new
same
kid.
dad, but a new baby, and that is terrific news there. So thank you to all.
Thank you. Amy?
Nothing additional for me at this time, thanks.
You have a committee meeting coming up on Friday, right? Student achievement. We look forward to hearing about that. Tanya?
Nothing for me either.
Nothing for me, except welcome Ian.
Thank you. Nothing for me. Welcome in. Congratulations, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doc.
Nothing for me tonight.
No?
Yeah, just congratulations to the three of you on a great race, and thank you for stepping up and serving on the board. I know it's a big job, and we all, as the executive team, appreciate the work that you do and will do to support us in that, so thanks.
Thank you. Last will be board commentary. Guess I get to jockey up the positions here a little bit, huh? Kevin, I'll let you go first. Don't put Ian on the spot right away.
Well, Ian, welcome. Looking forward to working with you. I was trying to count up the number of board members I've served with, and I stopped. We'll just think about it on a going forward basis at this point. But looking forward to it. I know you've got a lot of energy, and you've demonstrated that already, getting off and getting up to speed, I know, with your preparation. So thank you for that. And Connie, glad you're taking the reins, and look forward to a great year. And Desiree as well. Let's hope that there's no action required by you, when you're vice president. We won't ask for that, but appreciate you stepping into that too. And I've always been a fan of getting new board members into leadership roles sooner than later. So, Ian, to the extent I have a say, I'll be looking for that from you too. Thanks.
Charles?
Well, I will echo as well the welcome to Ian. It also echo the history being made. I don't know that you all can see, but I think the cleanest pair of shoes that's ever been on this dais is sitting right next to me right now. And
they're green.
They're green. They are themed. They're great. I also want to acknowledge again the excitement that I think we have for you serving in this seat. Congratulate you for a tremendous campaign and race, and appreciate the enthusiasm and the diligence that you've hit the ground running with as a new board member, taking everything in from a fire hose right out of the gate. We are excited to add you to the team and work with you. I am also going to say a thank you to my family, all of the folks that helped me get reelected. I appreciate your confidence in me, returning to the board especially my wife, who is home right now with our 1-week-old, her sister, who's in town helping us out so that I could be here tonight. And we'll also acknowledge, I apologize to a few of you maybe in the audience who was a little couple days getting around to emails on this past week, but we're not really getting much sleep in the house these days, but we still very much appreciate your feedback and your comments whenever we get them. And then I also just want to say thank you to Connie for stepping in to serve in the center seat. I'm looking forward to your leadership in that role, to Desiree, to stepping in to serve in that vice president seat. And just thank you again to the board and to the community. I have really enjoyed and been honored and humbled to serve in that president role the last 2 years. But I am also looking forward to following more than leading in this next year. So
You're going to be a tired dad.
That's right, yeah.
Ian?
You know, I struggled with, what do you say to a community that's elected you? So I'll start with thank you. I'm grateful, I'm honored, I'm humbled by your trust and confidence in me. I hope to repay that with as much hard work as I can muster, and showing up and doing the work and continuing the work that's happening in the district, and adding what is my perspective and lens, and working with these 4 wonderful people that I'm coming to know, some sooner than others. So I'm looking forward to growing each and every one of our relationships. But if I'm honest, I owe one person, well, a few people, but one person, a very specific thank you, and that's to my wife. There would not be me sitting in this chair if not for you. So thank you for believing and pushing me. Our anniversary is Thursday, so happy anniversary. 15 years. And for every believer in you, you always have a detractor. I won't name that person, but they are sitting in this room, and they are equal motivation for me. And so I hope that I can be an equal detractor to that person and motivate them to find their greatest potential. That person knows who I'm talking to. But I'm excited to get to work. There's a lot of people that I love in this room and that have supported me through a lot of things in my life. My parents are over there. My in-laws are over there. So thank you, guys. So yeah, I'm just excited to get to work and looking forward to it.
Great. Thank you. Desiree, Vice President, ma'am.
First of all, I want to congratulate the 3 of you on an election year. I know it's a stressful time for you, but also for your families. It takes a lot of time away from your kids and your home and, dinners with family. So I appreciate the year that you guys have been through. Ian, welcome to the board.
Thank you.
I look forward to getting to know you and working together.
Absolutely.
And we all have common goals here. And I can see that you're going to hit the ground running. I have no doubt you're going to do a great job. So congratulations and welcome to the board.
Thank you.
Great. Well, I'd just like to thank the voters for re-electing me in the 22 years I've been doing this now. It's still a humbling experience. And I have to also thank my family. They've been, the head of our family has been putting up with me for 42 years. But all 22 of my years on the board, I've had wonderful support from the family. So I do appreciate that, letting me do this. And congratulations, Ian, officially welcome. Charles, congratulations. And I absolutely look forward to new and great things. We're always challenged here in Mason. We've got great opportunity, but with that opportunity, we have to get our hands dirty and do the work. And we're grateful to have a fantastic staff that's willing to do that over and over again. Charles, congratulations to you and your wife on the newest little Galvin, and hopefully they sleep frequently and early all night long. But give Natalie our best. And thanks to the kids that came up to speak tonight. It can sometimes be a little intimidating, but I'm constantly amazed at what our students are capable of and being so willing to voice their feelings, express themselves, and it's just a great start to a great future for them, I do believe. I'm grateful when they utilize this tool to communicate. With that, I think that's all we have, and I will ask for an adjournment.
Second?
Sean?
All in favor?
All in favor?
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.